Hi, Casey Rossi. Welcome to the Balance Beautiful Abundance Show.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It is a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy to meet you. I've been just like in awe of your bio. This is going to be such an interesting interview. So, if you're tuning in live on Facebook or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any other of our platforms, definitely you're going to want to stay for the whole thing. So, let me tell you a little bit about Casey. She is a business and leadership coach who helps women scale profitable and soul aligned businesses. Casey is the founder of the Soulprint Method, a system that helps entrepreneurs leverage their strengths to joyfully enhance their performance. She is a certified aromatherapist, mind body coach, and NLP practitioner. So let's get right into it. I love that your philosophy is about minimalism because I just
Yes.
in Facebook I posted what do you have a ridiculous amount of? And I think everybody in the Western world has a ridiculous amount of something. So, what is it? How does minimalism help people feel more productivity and joy?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I'm so glad that you started there. I think that we have a tendency to collect for a sense of security and safety. And I think, especially with the year that we've all experienced in 2020, we probably got even more so into that because that was something that was like safe and quote unquote legal. So, what that ends up doing is creating a lot of distraction and a lot of I truly believe a lot of depression because we can get overwhelmed with all of our things. And so the flip side to that, and that's why I'm such a fan of minimalism, is it starts to help you prioritize. It helps you to clear out the things that are unnecessary, and it absolutely improves your mental space, your clarity, your decision making process, and it just gives you literally and figuratively a clear path to accomplishing your goals. So it's unbelievable. I actually, a couple years ago, I was in Hawaii and I had packed very, very light. And my bestie and I go yearly, and we were gone for a month. And there was something that was happening at about week two. And I was like, something feels different. I feel like happier and lighter and more joy filled. And yes, of course, the weather was awesome.
Mhm.
And yes, it was Hawaii. But once I dug into it, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's because I have only my favorite things and I feel like a light traveler. I have this newfound sense of freedom, and everything is easier from getting up and doing my morning routine all the way straight through. And from that point, I really started digging into it. And of course, like watching documentaries like, from the minimalists and things of that nature. And I was like, yeah, and why can't we use this filter and apply it to our businesses and see what happens there? And that's when I continued to see shifts with having less apps and less tools and less configurations. And what I found was there was less tech headaches, and there was less memberships to keep track of, and less bookkeeping and less expenses. And I was more productive and was making more income. So I was like, I think there's something about combining these two philosophies. So I'm a fan.
So, how do you determine whether it's something from an article of clothing to an app to a business system? Like, how do you determine what to keep and what to delete?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure if you haven't used it in a year, you don't need it. It's not essential. I'm a fan of Marie Kondo's work. I love her philosophy of does it spark joy? And it's interesting because when I started applying that, I was like, oh, interesting, because I was really just dressing for kind of like what fit, not really what sparked joy, or is this really a reflection of my personality? And so I loved that philosophy. And I know that I used to say a joy chaser. My coach has corrected me to now flip it to say a joy magnet. So it's
Yes.
like, I am all about being a joy magnet. So it's like, how can we even look at, like you mentioned, our clothing? And, when I started doing that, I was like, oh, interesting. Like, we don't need more. And how can we optimize what we have? And I started getting into like even color theory and got a color expert. And it was like, oh, here's the palette that's going to bring you harmony. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I think it just starts to shift everything, and you can just take it as far and deep as you want. But then, it's exciting to geek out on it and think about doing like a capsule wardrobe. And, it's cool. I love the process of weeding out. So from a kind of a materialistic standpoint, it's like, does it make you happy? Have you used it? And I actually like things to kind of go together. So there's like a place for everything and everything in its place, and it's nice and tidy. And from the business standpoint, you can really like, there's very few tools that I use to run a successful online business. And in the past, and even when I helped clients, I remember years ago, I had a client that had 80 apps behind her
Oh,
WordPress site. I mean, it was ridiculous, and then of course
yeah.
we needed a professional in case it crashed, and, what's going to play with each other after there's updates. And so now, especially as technology has improved so greatly, we don't need a whole heck of a lot to have a very professional, streamlined business application. So it's kind of exciting.
That is so exciting. I love that. And you can ask yourself that even with a life decision. Like, I believe that people shouldn't do anything out of fear, obligation, or guilt. They should do things that actually create joy in their lives.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. Amen. I'm on the same page as you. I think when you start to give yourself permission between the get to and the got to,
Yes.
everything shifts.
Yes, absolutely. So, how do people, that's a perfect transition to my next question. My motto, we're very aligned because I empower women to go from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. How do
Love it.
you help your clients avoid burnout?
I think there's a couple different things. The first one are boundaries. That is, I think, one of the foundational pieces. And it's one that's, especially with the female entrepreneurs, females in general, we tend to be the nurturers, the caregivers, the people pleasers. And I think many times perfectionism is also baked in there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it takes a little time to spackle that groove, because we have collectively and through our whole ancestry chain have just been kind of conditioned to be that. So, one, acknowledging it, two, giving ourselves permission to break free and be our own unique artist for what we want our destiny to look like. And three, start putting in the practice. So we go from theory to practice to mastery. And one of the simplest ways is boundaries. And for people, that could look like an autoresponder if they are used to checking email several times during the day. That is a tremendous energy leak that we may not even be aware of. From the social media side of things, endlessly scrolling and not having boundaries of when we're taking in feeds, that is another kind of a secret leaker of all of our chi. And I think that when we start putting personal and professional boundaries in, we start to regain an inner balance and can definitely avoid burnout. And I know this because I spent a tremendous amount of years in diagnosed burnout. I had adrenal fatigue. I was running my 7+ figure confection business for 17 years and had burnout for a big chunk of those. And I was of the old paradigm that in order to be successful, we have to work hard. And to prove that we're working hard, we're absolutely exhausted by the end of the day. So, unfortunately, I wore that as a badge of honor for many years, because I was like, perfect, I'm exhausted. I have dark circles under my eyes. I'm winning.
That is the masculine paradigm of achievement. That it has to be
It is.
hard, that you have to run yourself into the ground, that, the whole like work hard, play hard, where the feminine way is just balance. Like work and play are seamless. So I didn't read anything about your confection business. So what did you sell? What did you market?
So, my bestie and I developed these chocolate covered pretzels back in the early 90s, which really took the upscale gift and gourmet field by storm. There wasn't anything like it at the time. And that was actually our 10th business endeavor together. So we had created 9 different businesses from 1991 to 94. And I joked with her that if, I'll do one more with you, but if the 10th one doesn't rock our world, let's both agree that we're going to do conventional. And so she agreed. And, it must have been in our destiny because the 10th one, we had like 130 road reps within the first 8 months, selling when we were sleeping. We hit that, infamous 7+ figure mark. And we got to travel the world and do what we really enjoyed, making people happy with chocolate. So it was a really cool gig. And I learned a lot. We definitely cut our teeth with being managers and owners, and what is it like to have a team of 25 employees really looking at you for guidance and a paycheck. So we really learned a lot along the way. And yeah, but again, the burnout piece, I think, was from a personal level, what I really knew when I pivoted into being a solopreneur and doing my own thing, that I wasn't going to be recreating that wheel. I'm like, okay, I'll take the muscle memory of the 7 figures, but I will absolutely be deleting the burnout that came with it.
Is that why you got out of that and became a spiritual business coach, because of the burnout?
No, actually, I was really feeling out of alignment selling sugar.
Mm.
And I've always loved the plant world and holistic medicine and complementary modalities.
Yeah.
And it really kind of like probably towards the last 2 years of that 17-year venture, I was just starting to feel like I don't feel great selling things with red dye in it, because we had like M&Ms in some of our products, and and just sugar in general. And so we tried to develop a nutraceutical line, and it was just too far ahead of the time, and it would have been a completely new target audience. So we actually sold the company in 2011, and that was the perfect time for me at that point to pivot into my aromatherapy business that I was running alongside of it in parallel. But it was really awesome that I could just kind of move into that and devote myself to that. The coaching actually came after that, as we often have several iterations. I think as entrepreneurs, the journey is very like, here, there, and everywhere. But that actually came after taking several different certification courses and really being in that middle space of like, who am I now without a partner? Because I had had 20 years being a part of a dynamic duo.
Mm-hmm. Is that the
And
same girl you go to Hawaii with every year?
it is. Yes.
That's
Yep. That's Cher. We've been best friends for 30 years. We still walk every single day and have lunch at each other's houses. So yeah, we have an amazing connection. And yeah, but there was this period of time of like, what am I now? Like, if I don't have this dynamic business partnership, I've got to be me, myself, and I in the front. And that took some time. That took a lot of adjustment. That took coaching and really getting out of my own way and not hiding behind the label of being an introvert.
Are you a learned extrovert like I am?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And now it's like, okay, I guess I can claim ambivert because of the like natural side of wanting to be more internal, and then the learned extrovert that's like, if you, in a way, if you want to shine as an online business owner, you have to embrace it, because if you're not visible, it doesn't matter if you are sitting on gold and that you can give the best transformations to your clients. If you don't embrace online visibility, it's going to be an uphill battle.
That's right. That's right. So, how do people tap into their heart wisdom to achieve their highest potential?
Ah, that's a good one. I think that the cool part is, as the tides are changing and as I really see like there's a feminine rising, one, I'm going back to that permission where we are all like ready to even give permission to ourselves that it's okay to tap into our heart and to acknowledge that there's heart wisdom there, and that we can respect and acknowledge the masculine paradigm that you referred to earlier. There's a place for that. There's a place for the linear and the structure and all of the strategies. And that's awesome. And now, especially now when so many people have started pivoting to their own business, for just the global disruption, it's like, I want to have fun. I want to have freedom in my life. I want to be able to create my own rules. And I think they're embracing their own inner rebel. And
Mm.
so, in order to do that, it's just like, what does my heart want? Like, where is the passion? Because a lot of people have recently lost their jobs. And so it's like, oh, light bulb, that was soul sucking anyway, you
Right.
know? And it's like, I didn't really want that. And now it's like, I've had this new opportunity that this challenge has allowed me to be stronger and create something from my heart and rely on my inner wisdom and my heart wisdom. And I think that it's an exciting opportunity. And what may have felt like a challenge that was put upon us that we didn't ask for, I can't tell you how many people have said, this is the best thing that's happened. I'm closer to my family. I'm more connected to my peers, my community, and I've been able to slow down enough to even tap into my heart and maybe do a morning routine or do a stillness practice or even put meditation in that's been on my to-do list
I
forever,
love
like Groundhog Day.
I love morning routines. That's one of my big teachings. So I'm curious, Casey, what is your morning routine these days? I know mine's always changing a little bit, but what's
Yeah.
a typical morning for Casey?
Typical morning is I get up and kick it off with a half an hour meditation every morning. I've been a meditator for 30 years,
Beautiful.
every day, non-negotiable. So
So before
that's
you even like go to the bathroom, you just sit up in bed and you start meditating?
yes,
Okay, that's
first thing. Yeah, first thing. I have to say, I've gotten a new kitten and it's been increasingly challenging to have like one pointed focus because that is his favorite time of the morning to like come and nuzzle. And so I need to find a strategy for that. But yes, first thing, it's half an hour meditation. I've been really enjoying the book, The Magic from Rhonda Byrne. And so I've been doing her daily gratitude practice. In fact, I just posted today on Facebook. Today's day 56 for me of a daily gratitude practice. So fun, seeing really big shifts and nothing fundamental has changed but perspective. So I'm totally digging that. I'm a huge fan of getting our energy in alignment. So whether that is
well, let
listening
me go
to
back to
an
the
oh
gratitude.
yeah, please.
You write a list or you just do it in your head?
I write a list because science says that we have better results when we actually put pen to paper.
Perfect. And how many things do you list for your gratitude list?
I do a minimum of 10 and I do the back end of the because. So I am grateful for X because, and the end part of the because is really interesting because previously I used to just put like, I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that. But there is an amped up feeling that comes when you actually put the why. So I think it helps us tap more into our why identity when we flush it out more with the because. And that's, I think, what's really moved the needle for me.
That is so cool. So instead of just writing a list, you write it like, I'm grateful for my dog because he gives me so much joy or whatever. I love
Absolutely.
it. Okay, this is beautiful. Okay, what's next after your gratitude practice?
So, energy alignment. So, that can look like a couple different things, whether it's plugging into somebody that's got high vibes that really kind of puts you in your state, right? So, for me, it could be of late, it's been Abraham Hicks.
Yes,
I
me
totally
too.
dig that. Really? Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that you can't go wrong with that. And I vacillate. It just really depends on mood, but I have a handful of people that I just feel like you're walking the talk and you can raise vibration. So I think that that's huge. And the other coupling part of that is really journaling. You
Mm-hmm.
know, as a part of the gratitude, the flip side of that is my own manifestation of what I desire and acting as if it's already in the present tense. And that's huge. And that's, I think,
I am so happy and grateful that I know I've read another one of her books. Is that the formula that she uses?
oh, actually, for the book, for the great gratitude, yeah, that's Rhonda Byrne's The Magic. She actually had that philosophy of putting the back end, and that's something for she has a 28-day process.
Mm-hmm.
And each day has an additional gratitude prompt, but you kick off the morning with that 10 things you're grateful for and the because, and you end your day with a practice of recapping the very best thing that happened in your day that you're grateful for. So it's kind of an AM PM bookend practice.
So, how do you do the final piece of your ritual, the manifestation? How do you word that?
That
Yeah.
that is just free flow. That's free flow, no blueprint. It's literally just like tapping into it. Like whether it's, I have a full client roster, I'm at my perfect health, like I get stronger and stronger, I'm younger and younger every day. Like, whatever is coming into your kind of field, It's really, again, kind of going back to Abraham's language, it's a rampage. It's a rampage of gratitude thoughts. It's just, and I love that. And it's interesting because I think it helps us tap into our artistic creativity. It's nice to get a jump start of structure from someone else's plan,
Mm-hmm.
but I really feel that once you have that, to just really go within and allow yourself this creativity to be your own leader.
I love that. That is so great. So, how do people dissolve limiting beliefs? Because if they are doing this gratitude practice and writing what they manifest, but underneath they have a limiting belief, they're not going to manifest. And that's why people say, oh, that stuff doesn't work for me. So, I know when they say that, it's because they have a limiting belief that is undermining all these wonderful modalities that you just discussed with me. So, how do people A, know what their limiting beliefs are, and B, dissolve them?
Yeah, so good. So, one, I think they have to be open and ready, and it's a process. And I feel like, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I truly believe that. So, I don't think we can ever convince someone that they have a limiting belief. I think that there needs to be an openness and a consciousness right off the bat. And once that's there, I think one, like anything, once we acknowledge it, we can shine the light on it to help dissolve it. That acknowledgement alone has healing in it
Yes.
without having to do anything else. There's healing in just acknowledging it,
Yes.
right?
I
So
call
that's huge.
it the three A's of change: awareness of the problem, acceptance, and then action.
I love that. That's the trifecta. You got it. Nail on the head.
So once they discover and they admit they have the limiting beliefs, what is the action that you suggest to your clients to help them dissolve them?
There's a couple of different things. So, some self actions that they can do is definitely putting into the practice the energy alignment piece, the gratitude, because the gratitude can absolutely shift perspective. I'm a fan of affirmations and visualizations. So, whether that's something that you're recording your own voice, that is really powerful. You can do it on your phone app where you can start repeating these things, which is typically the opposite of wherever the obstacle is. So, if it's a money block, for example, you can start doing affirmations on your phone like, I am a wealthy woman. I am, I have abundance that's overflowing. I'm a money magnet. Like, I'm, all of those things that you desire, like all the dreams that you want, you can just start flowing again. And playing that. And so there's been some studies where 2 minutes is a great kind of loop. And it's okay, even if you're just kind of going through the same 10, 12 top desires that you have. And I like to focus on one thing at a time. I'm a fan of going deeper, not wider. So we can really see when the needle is moving in a very particular area. I think a part of that trifecta of A's that you talked about with the acceptance is really knowing that the time frame is happening and unfolding in its divine right way perfectly for you. And I think that many of us are impatient, myself included. What's like, I'm doing this, why isn't it happening? Like,
Mhm.
I should be seeing this already. And so I think taking a moment to breathe in and really trust the process and just keep showing up. That's all that you have to do, is just keep showing up and trusting and feeling and trusting and just kind of going through that process. I think if they're bigger limiting beliefs, it's really helpful to get outside support, right? Whether that is an emotional freedom technique practitioner, someone that can actually tap into your meridian system, help you tap into your meridian system and release some of those blockages that are within your cells, within your muscle memory, whether it is an NLP practitioner that it can actually use techniques of the pictures that you have in your mind, the things that you actually say to yourself on a repetitive basis. I think one of the studies have said that we have 80,000 thoughts a day, and 60,000 of those are negative,
Mm,
right? They're called ants, automatic negative thoughts. So we need to somehow disrupt that pattern of ants and re-divert it And our mind is just going to do the path of least resistance. So if we can step back into the driver's seat, not be controlled by our negative thoughts, but turn it around. That's why I love the morning routine of getting our energy in alignment, because you start off on the right foot and it's like, hey, brain, be my friend. This is what we're going to do today. Let's rock it. Right?
What's a limiting belief that you've had to overcome on your journey?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say that for a long time, I was afraid to be visible online. And that really stemmed from having a dynamic business partner. And she was kind of the front face of the business. And I was like the wizard in the office upstairs that could do everything behind the scenes. And she was like the honey, sweetie, just the connector. And when I had to step into that role and be visible, it was really painful. And I really felt like, I'm not good enough, and, I'm not funny enough, and I just don't have the charm, and that took years, to be honest with you, to really look at that and where did that come from. And it really dated way back to really trying to please my parents. And you find that with a lot of the deep seated limiting beliefs, is it does go back to those formative years of 0 to 7. And if you're willing to do the work and lift up the rocks, and sometimes feel like you're getting beat up against the rocks, that's when the true magic can unfold, because these things don't just, in my experience, kind of lickety split go away. It's something where we have to continue to be persistent and crack that egg and know that in its right time, it's going to blossom open for our benefit.
That's one of my limiting beliefs that I overcame too, and I work on it every day, that I'm not good enough one. I think that's very common for women. So,
It is. I don't know if you're familiar with Marissa Peer, but she was really instrumental in helping me look at that. Her work was instrumental in like how something as simple as I am enough
yeah,
can be really, really powerful. I mean, it seems so basic, like, how is that going to do anything? But it's unbelievable. Like, we don't need a hammer for a lot of our problems.
it's funny because Tony Robbins is someone who talks about incantations versus affirmations. I love affirmations, I teach them in my work. But when I started doing the incantation, which is movement and breath behind I am enough. So when I work out, I'm like, I am enough. I have enough. I am willing to set myself free. And I put like
Mm.
movement in it. It's just amazing how empowering that is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I am enough. Just that alone is so freeing. So here is the $1 million question, the title of this podcast and Facebook Live. Drum roll, please. What is the number one secret you want every entrepreneur to know?
Awesome. It is a great question. And that secret is to trust yourself,
Yay!
because you have everything within you to achieve absolutely everything. The whole of the macrocosm is within you, the microcosm. And I think that once we start embracing that, we don't need to look externally for anything, right? Everything is within us. And I think that when we, especially as entrepreneurs, start to cultivate that confidence muscle and that self-trust, everything shifts. Everything shifts for the better.
Trust your intuition. Now, some people say it's in the heart, some people say it's in the gut, not in the mind. Talk
Exactly.
you into crazy shit. So, where is it? Is your intuition in the heart or in the gut, in your opinion?
Oh, that's so good. I actually look at the three different spaces: the mind space, the heart space, and the brain in our belly. And for me, I think because science has actually shown that some of the same exact cells that are in our brain matter are actually in our belly. So for me, looking at it in tandem, you have that heart wisdom. And then you have the brain in your belly where you can really trust that gut instinct. And the quieter we are, the more we're going to be able to tap into that. And it may be unique for you. That's the cool part. Like, we all have similarities, yes, but we are very, very unique, and we bring a whole different set of karmic imprints with us in this go around. So I don't think there's one way or one answer. I think you have to do the thing that feels good to you. The most important part is just tapping in and seeing, what is that structure for you? What is that sacred geometry in your own body?
And sometimes it's through a song or listening to a podcast or overhearing a conversation. So I feel like you can get the intuition if you're open to it, wherever it comes from.
Absolutely agree with you.
I really believe that God speaks through other people and you can ask for signs. Like, okay, I need a really, really big sign. Make it like obvious, neon. Like, I don't have to like run it by like five people. Like, I need a sign. And that can be your intuitive hit too.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. They're reflections, right? Like we're blessed to have those people in our path for a reason. And
yeah.
I think, it goes back to the awareness thing that you mentioned, being aware, being open, being conscious.
And we're all connected, right? We're all waves in the same ocean. So we're all connected to the collective unconscious. So,
Isn't that cool?
yeah. So, people are literally our mirrors and our guidance. It's so beautiful if we're open. It comes in the most unlikely places too, which is really cool.
It
So
is.
I love that you want people to have play and fun. I'm a huge believer in being playful, but yet people want to be leaders and they want to make a big impact and they want to leave a legacy. So, how can leaders have more fun while maximizing their impact?
Yeah, that's so good. And I think, again, it is saying, like, hey, we're ready for a new paradigm. And leaders need to do it first so other people can be inspired. You can absolutely be professional and have levity simultaneously. That took me a lot of years to realize because, again, the first 2 decades I was very buttoned up, very black and white. I'm black and white Casey in my 9 to 5. And then I give myself permission to live in color when I'm home in my personal life. And I think that we are all craving authenticity and integration. And again, really displaying leadership and being courageous and effectively communicating and all the traits that we associate with an amazing leader can still be fun,
Yeah.
right? I mean, as long as we have that, I think the general respect and caliber of what leadership means to us, and I'm a huge fan of starting with ourself first and leading authentically in that way, truly being an example. The people that I admire are the ones that walk their talk, and so it's like, how do you get to do that and just be real and you know show us what you're making for dinner. Like, even though you could be a brilliant social media strategist, like, I'm still kind of curious what's in your morning smoothie, like bringing all aspects of who we are. Like, I think that's just really the fun of it. So it can be done. It's really cool to watch other people model it effectively. I think that really helps for people that want to dip their toe in. Like, how do I do that? Because I don't want my Instagram feed to be like, here's how to create a lead magnet, and here's a cute cat picture. Right. So there is a little bit of that trepidation, and I totally get it. But I think now more than ever, people are just like, hey, let's lay down the mask, be exactly who you are. Right.
What is an example of a leader that you think is doing a good job integrating playfulness?
I think Rachel Hollis does a really great job. In fact, I just tuned into her Talk with Rach show yesterday on YouTube. She just reinvigorated after 4 years. And it was really funny. It was like, here are some of my bad hair days, and then she like called her 14-year-old son while they were alive. And she's like, I think I'm supposed to tell them to ring the bell or subscribe or something when they're on YouTube. And she had him on speakerphone and she's like, what do you think I should say? And he's like, well, I would just say, like, if you like this content, like, you can subscribe. And she's sitting there going, like, kind of laughing and thinking it's super endearing. And I just thought that's super cool because she can be on the stage rocking it with the best of them. But then she's very, very open about her personal life and her struggles and her big goals, her big audacious goals. So I think she does a really good job of being like the girlfriend next door and the big, breadwinner for her family.
That's great. I think she also does a great job at being polarizing because I was
Yeah.
talking to my coach and he was like, I can't stand Rachel Hollis. And you're like, I love her. And that's one of my goals is being more authentic because I know if I'm being more authentic, I am going to be more polarizing. People are going to have strong feelings toward me either way, and that's a good thing. That takes courage.
Yeah. It definitely takes courage. Absolutely. Oh, I'm excited for you. That's juicy.
Yeah. So let's end with this. You have a signature method called the Soulprint Method. Can you just give us an overview of what that method is?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it really taps into freedom and creative artistry. Just like our fingerprints were very unique. And I think that the old school method was following an expert's blueprint. And the soul print method is actually busting through a step by step plan and allowing you to tap into your heart wisdom and your intuition to build a wildly profitable endeavor, but doing it your way.
That's beautiful. So the soul print method, the blueprint again, to go back to the old linear, more masculine paradigm, the soul print is a more holistic method of expressing yourself in your business.
Absolutely. It has both. It you hit it right on the head with the holistic side of it. It is a yin yang approach. So we honor the masculine. We absolutely put in sharp business strategies. We look at the analytics, we compare data. All of that's in there because that's needed. We have to have that foundation, and we allow ourselves the time for meditation, visualizations, looking at limiting beliefs that we need to dissolve, understanding the fluidity of femininity and how we put boundaries in a way that still feels in alignment to who we are, how we show up on social media that feels in alignment to us. So we're not necessarily following, you can sleep when you're dead, post 10 times a day. Like, some things that don't feel great to you, you get to choose what feels great for you.
If you're not waking up at 3:30 in the morning, you're lazy. Like there's a lot of people like, oh my God. All right. So
Totally.
this has been amazing. I know my listeners are going to want to stay in touch with you. So how can people stay in touch with you and learn more about your amazing work?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I've really had fun chatting with you too. My website is kcrossi.com. I have a free gift for your listeners called the Emerging Leaders Quick Start Guide. It's actually a 3-part free mini series. So you get little snippets of training, actionable, doable, and absolutely moves the needle. So I know you're going to put that link in the show notes, and they're welcome to dive right in.
Wow, well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Casey, for being on the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. We do not have sponsors. This is a grassroots show. We were just ranked 27th in South Africa for the best self help shows, and that's all through word of mouth. So if you're listening to this on Facebook Live, tag a friend, share it on someone's wall. If you're listening to the podcast, give us a 5-star review and subscribe and share the podcast with a friend. Thank you so much for listening to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. And we will see you next week with another incredible guest. Thank you, Casey Rossi, for being on the show.
Thank you.